Welcome to another video tutorial, and in this particular video tutorial it is an introduction to our brand new series on the Java programming language. So we shall be looking at the Java programming language and see how to solve programming problems using this particular programming language. So the first thing I want to introduce are the first things. This will be we shall start from the beginners level. Then as we gradually gain the concepts, we shall go into the depths of the advanced levels of programming. So that is the brief introduction. So that to know, just to put into context why the programming language we are going to study behaves the way it handles problems when you are using it. So I will start by the brief history here, and as you can see, it was created by the Sun Microsystems by a person called James Gosselin, and it came into the market in the year 1995. The language has got its own philosophy which drives it, and that is the philosophy which says you write the program once but you run it everywhere. This particular concept shall become clear when we move into this point here shall become clear as we progress in our programming details. So for now, just know that it is a programming language which has got its philosophy, and this is where we shall be dealing a lot of our concepts on and evaluating how does it enable us to go through those particular features of writing once and running it everywhere. So the features which are possessed by this language, by the features I mean what does it support. So you get that the first feature, I will not be explaining it into details for now, because maybe some of you might be beginners in this programming language, but when we shall get to the feature of object-oriented programming, how this programming paradigm is being implemented in this particular language, I will go into the details. You saw from our earlier slide here, I said that it has got a philosophy of write once, run everywhere. What does that means? It is that it is platform independent. That is the neutrality. It doesn't matter which operating system are you going to run your programs on, whether they are Unix, that is the variants of Ubuntu, Linux, CentOS, and all those, or Windows or Mac OS. Why is that possible? Once you've written, I'm going to show you later on that once you've written your source code, the source code, once you compile it, it goes through what we call the Java virtual machine. This Java virtual machine takes your text file, which is your source file, then converts it to something we call the bytecode. The bytecode, it is not machine dependent, but it is an intermediate pre-compiled code which can be taken by any compiler in this respective operating system and then be converted into the respective low-level code which these operating systems can now run suitably. That is the platform neutrality is being achieved by what we call the Java virtual machine. So this one I will also illustrate it as we go, but I don't think that we shall have a better chance of evaluating it into details because it is more technical. But for now I will just leave it hanging there, but should the time permit I will go into the technical specifications and implementations and the workings of this. The other one, you find that as we shall see when we begin programming, because this is a hands-on skill and I will be concentrating myself purely on the programming part of it, then explaining why we do the things the way we are doing them here. You will find that it is very simple to write compared to its rivalry, that is the predecessors, which is C and C++. So you get that if you've had a test of programming in these two programming languages, you can attest to the fact that if you migrate to the Java programming language, it is much simpler to write program codes and get started. The only thing is that you need to run the fundamentals of the language, then you are good to go. The other one, it is a security. As you know, nowadays system attacks are very rampant from hackers. Therefore, this is another security feature which is nowadays very predominant in language research. When you are designing your programming language, you must design it so in a way that you make the hacking or of the programs written in this particular programming language to be difficult to exploit and take advantage of. We have architecture neutral. This point is this feature is very confusing with the platform neutrality, but this one we are talking in terms of the processors. Remember, in the market we have the 32 based microprocessors and the 64 based processors. When you are writing the programs which are supposed to run on those two processors, you need to consider and choose your language carefully. So Java doesn't care which programming language, and this not a programming language, I mean it doesn't care which processor you using, because it has a mechanism. As I told you that the JVM here converts your source file into an intermediate precompiled code called the bytecode, which is machine independent. Then that machine bytecode, it is going to be taken by the compiler on the respective machine which you are running, then convert it to the suitable code which can run on that particular platform. Number one, that is the operating system, and number two, and the underlying processor architecture. And you realize that even these particular operating systems, they are manufactured, they are of two variants. We have those ones which run on the 32 based processors, and those ones which run on the 64 based processors. Therefore, you can see that there is what we call a symbiotic relationship between the platform neutrality and the architecture neutral, because even this particular operating system, they are dependent on what we call the underlying processor. So that is what we mean here by architecture neutrality. The other one, it is the issue of portability. Remember, programming becomes an ad hoc process when you are faced with remember, users of your programs, they have different preferences of what we call the operating systems. There are those ones who are running the Unix-based operating systems. There are those who are running Mac OS and Windows. So once you are writing your program, you must target all these users. But then the good thing is that I've told you, once you compile your source code, it is not immediately converted into the native code. And native code, what I mean here, that it is stuck to one operating system and one architecture. Your source code, it is recombined into what we call a bytecode, and that bytecode, it is machine independent and architecture independent. Once now you need to combine it on a specific machine, you take your bytecode, you give it to the compiler of that specific machine, and then it converts it to the native zeros and ones which can run and execute comfortably on that particular architecture and platform. The other feature that I want to include, explain here, it is about the robustness of this particular language. You will find that because it uses what we call the design philosophy of object-oriented programming, it is easier to eliminate what we call errors. The other thing which makes it to be robust in terms of the elimination of errors, we shall see. In what we call the discipline of programming language designs, you can take two approaches when you are coming up with your programming language. We have the loosely typed languages, and we have the strictly typed languages. Under the strictly typed languages, you have to declare first, and we shall come later to that. That is when you understand better what we mean by the loosely typed and strictly typed programming languages. Java is one of those strictly typed programming languages which you must tell it prior before doing something. For instance, if you want to use a variable, let's say A to represent 1, you must tell it in advance that my variable A, it is going to contain 1. Otherwise, if you are going to use A minus declaring it and giving it a data type. Also, I will explain when we come to that what a data type is. Java will do what it will whisk out that particular error. Therefore, there are very little chances that you are able to do what we call the syntactical errors in this particular programming language. Maybe the only errors which are also an active research area in these programming languages, it is what we call the logical errors. We shall explain what are the syntactical errors and logical errors as we progress. Multi-threaded programming, this is more advanced. Then when we shall get to that advanced field, we shall explain what that means. But in a nutshell, it is that you are able to write a program which does multiple tasks concurrently, that is simultaneously. And concurrencies and multi-threaded are other terms, but for now let me say that this is the possibility that you are able to write a program that performs many tasks simultaneously. I've explained this. By now you should be familiar with it. Then you might be wondering about the speed performance of these programming languages. We say that this particular programming language has got what we call the performance, and this high performance is brought about with what the concept of what we call just in time. I will elaborate this later on. Then as you can see, we can write the distributed programming languages, which not languages, distributed applications in this particular programming language, and which are able to run on the internet. But advanced, then the last one but not the least, the language, it is dynamic than compared to C and C++, that it can adapt to evolving environments. This let me take from number 8 to number 12. We shall look them at the advanced levels of this particular programming language when we get to the series of advanced levels. But majorly for part 1 of this particular series, we shall concentrate with majorly from number 1 to maybe number 6. That is where we shall be concentrating mainly for part 1 of this particular series. I think the essence of me going through this was just to give you the motivation why you should learn and explore this particular programming language. So we move to the next thing. Here we shall need what we call the tools, which we are going to be using in our programming language. So the tools, as you can see here, we shall need the operating system. For this tutorial, I shall be using Windows, but later on I'm considering also releasing series under the versions of Linux, Ubuntu, and Mac, but that is later. But for now, I will stick to Windows because I think this is most prevalent operating system which is possessed with the most individuals. But then if you possess this, you should be equally comfortable to follow along. Then in the course of our development, we shall need a text editor where we are going to write our code. So this in this case, you can go for a very simple text editor like the Notepad++ or Sublime Text, which you can download. But then for me, I'm going to be using what we call an IDE. In full, it means the Integrated Development Environment. You can use the Eclipse, NetBeans. We have others I will show you later, the paths to where you can download. But the most one which you will need, the critical one, they are this is number 1 and number 2. You will need the Java Development Kit, and I will be using the latest versions. So we'll go ahead, and these are the two the most required ones, but these ones are to enable you to write your code. And then I will show you how to install this. I want to lay emphasis on this particular tutorial series. What shall we gain at the end of this particular series once we are done? You should be having the knowledge. You should have gained the hands-on skills on how to develop the graphical user interface applications, in short what we call the GUI applications. So but for the first part 1 series, we shall be dealing with simple programs so that you build up your skills gradually before you can assemble the more complex applications like the ones which have got the graphical user interfaces. So I will be showing you that. The other one, it is you will have gained the hands-on skills on how to come up with the networking applications in the Java programming language. also develop how you can program a network using the Java programming language. Then also it is possible that from what we call the applets, it is also we are also able to develop what we call the web applications. It is my sincere and utmost belief that by the time we get to the end of this particular tutorial series, you could have gained those practical skills. There are also the other one. The other one is to just motivate you that whatever you are going to gain throughout the whole of this particular series, it will motivate you and act as a catalyst to do more research on the language. What we are going to cover is not all. It's not all in this particular language. As I have outlined, it will give you the basic foundation which you will build upon to learn the more intriguing concepts about this particular programming language. And then we shall move to the advanced topics, like the ones I've told you of the multi-threaded concepts. Then we go to the distributed and the dynamism of the language. So the main goal of this particular tutorial series is to give you what we call the hands-on skills, and we shall be having a lot of what we call the practicals. So let's go to the setting up the environment which we shall need in the course of this particular development. I told you that we shall need the Java development kit. So the first thing to do, and all these links that I have outlined here, I'm going to leave them in the description, in the comment section below and in the description. So navigate to this particular website, which is Oracle here. Then what you are supposed to do, it is click on it. I've already opened this particular on my website here. So this is the site where it will bring you to. So just go to the Oracle, what we call the Java downloads, then scroll down, come to the section. You can see Java Standard Edition Development Kit. And the latest version you can see from this, it is what we call, that is 19.0.1. so we have that. It gives you a description. It thanks you for downloading this release. Then it tells you that the JDK includes tools for developing and testing programs written in the Java programming language and running on the Java platform. Here they have outlined the operating systems which the JDK supports. Of course, Linux, it is for Unix based operating system. Then we have the Mac OS, we have Windows. So you can select your respective operating system and go to the downloads section and choose the one which is suitable for you. For instance, for this is for the 64 based, but this compressed archive. Then those of you who have the Debian operating system, which is a variant of Unix, you can download from here. So you can choose, go through this description and choose the one which is best suits your operating system, number one. Number two, the best suits your processor architecture. For Mac, those who have Mac, you can also go below here and find it. The last but not least, for Windows, you choose this one. I could prefer that you go and click on this 64 based. You can see that but the 64, I think it can also run on the 2 based. if it should. So click on that, then it will bring just my internet connectivity is slow. Just click on that, then .exe file will download. Navigate to your, it has come, so just tell it to save. You can see the download has started there, and the size here it is 158. Wait for that to be complete. For me, I'm not going to go because I've already downloaded that. The next thing that we need, it is an IDE. Here I've outlined them. For this case, I'm going to be using NetBeans, the NetBeans IDE. So the link is there. I'm going to give it to you. Then you will come to the NetBeans IDE. Then you click on the latest. You can see this Apache NetBeans download here. So click just download. Then the other, as it continues the process, we shall come back to that. The others are the Eclipse IDE and the JetBrains IDE. The Intel J. The Intel J comes from the JetBrains, but it is a commercial. You have to pay for it. So once it brings you to this particular page, what you are supposed to do, we need let me scroll here. I need to select the one here. They are recording the key issues. You can go through the page and see what is there. So we need the installers. Leave about the binary because these ones are independent. You can see this one you have to download and then recompile them depending on which operating system you are running on. For the Linux, you can see you have got that. I want to believe that also this binary compilation work. As you can see, it tells you it is platform independent. So you download this for Linux and for Mac, then compile this on your respective operating system. Luckily enough, for Windows, they have a .exe file which they can download, which is right here. So you can download this. Just click on that. Let me see what it brings us to this particular page, and then they tell us that just read what is going on here. But then the one I want you to follow, it is this. We suggested the following site for download. So this is usually the closest mirror site to you. As you can see, the file size, it is 437 MB. So you can click save on that. Then the download, depending on your internet speeds, that should take less minutes, but for Windows it is straightforward. You just navigate to the downloads folder where you save your downloads, then click on this and you just leave the defaults and select the defaults the way they are. Then you will be able to have set your environment setup. I'm not going to do this because I could have gone practical to show you how to install them, but I don't want to interfere with my operating system for now, because I've already installed the JDK and the NetBeans and I'm using them for other projects. So, but I believe, should you encounter any problem, let me know in the comment section below, then I will assist you on how to navigate that. The last one, IDE, not really the last one. The other one, it is the Intel J. They give you the free 30 days of trial. Once you are satisfied that it is good, it is a good IDE, then you will pay for it, but they give you 30 free days to practice on it. The other one I know, it is the Eclipse. This one is also free. You should be comfortable. So once you click this, it will automatically detect you are underlying what we call a platform. You can see this A32 paste and 64. So once it brings you here, just click download. It will tell you thank you for downloading. Then a pop-up window has come. Then just save, then navigate to where the download will be, then double click on it, then the installation will start. So what are my recommendations? If you are just a beginner absolutely beginning in this particular programming language, I could prefer, because I would be using the NetBeans IDE, I could prefer that you install the NetBeans IDE so that it is easier to follow along. But feel free to explore the other options I've given you, so that you will be comfortable with them. So that is it for now. I hope that the whole of this particular series, it will be an enjoyable one, whereby we shall be learning a lot of intriguing things which will add to your cup of skills and relevant skills from now into the future. Welcome again to the Programming Hub, where you will be learning exciting things. Consider giving me a subscription. That really plays a major role and encourages me to produce more video tutorials. And I'm telling you so that you get a grasp of this, solid grasp of this concept. Don't just skip these tutorials, just follow them sequentially, because I will be giving sequential details in these particular tutorials which I will be releasing. Also share with your friends so that we can grow the family of knowledgeable people. Don't just educate yourself, also let the others be educated, have the skills. Until the next video tutorial, thanks for listening to me and watching.